contact.
Why are you cuffing?
Put your hands behind your back. Sir. Put your hands.
The destructive fury of Hurricane Ian left its mark on history in a world where human survival frequently struggles against the cruel forces of nature. This fierce Category 5 Titan storm was unlike any other in the Atlantic. It had the dubious distinction of being the third most costly weather-related catastrophe ever noted. The majority of its wrath fell on Florida. Since the infamous Labor Day hurricane of 1935 and Hurricane Michael in 2018, the state had not seen such lethal force or seen such utter strength. Thousands of stories were being written amid the frantic symphony of raging winds and pelting rain. The story of Katie Bonich stuck out among the others, though. Fortunately, Katie survived the hurricane and Mother Nature's ruthless fury. But as the storm's echoes subsided and Florida started to mend its fractures, Katie saw a new danger approaching. This was a human-made storm rather than one that originated in the tropics. Standing 6'3" inches and weighing 240 pounds, the human cyclone was prepared to run into Katie. She had no idea that surviving Hurricane Ian would seem like child's play in comparison to dealing with the storm represented by the man Ian. Katie, from a young age, Samantha McKinney, wanted to be a mother and a nurse. She was a studious and joyful youngster before her life was upended at the age of 15, when she graduated from Indiana's New Albany High School. She was very close to her father, and when he abruptly left the family, she and her sister felt uneasy and anxious. She persevered and completed her first objective by enrolling in the University of Louisville's nursing program. Katie made a contemporary choice when it came to pursuing her parenthood ambition. She registered with Christian Mingle in the hopes of meeting someone who shared. The U.S. Marine Corps veteran and current business owner Ian Bonich, 43, has created a successful career in the non-destructive testing industry. Because of his knowledge, he has been able to live comfortably in several places. Before meeting Katie, Ian had been divorced twice. He has a psychology bachelor's from the University of Louisville and a master's in divinity from Liberty University. Ian, a committed bodybuilder who finished third at the 2020 NPC North American Championships, came to Christian Mingle to find a love match who shared his dedication to Christianity. Initial internet conversations between Katie and Ian swiftly turned into a romantic partnership. Despite Ian's alleged self-indulgence, Katie was drawn to him because she desired a family and was prepared to go to any lengths, as her cousin observed. But there was a disturbing detail. Katie's mother conducted some research after learning that her daughter had met a man online in 2014. She approached Ian after learning about earlier assault claims made by his ex-wives in Indiana. He argued that the accusations were baseless and emphasized his lack of conviction. Katie and her mother set aside their concerns after believing Ian's story. Soon after, Katie moved to Florida from Indiana at Ian's request to start over. In Fort Myers, Katie continued to practice nursing while contributing significantly to Ian's demanding bodybuilding regimen. She would help him prepare meals and whatever other tasks he needed to complete in order to get ready for competitions. Her cousin called Ian's commitment to exercise all-consuming. Katie didn't give up, though. Eventually, Katie and Ian got married and had 2 kids, who are now 4 and 6 years old. But behind the surface, Ian's wrath was ruining his marriage. Katie's cousin recalls Ian shouting Bible verses in frequent, furious outbursts. Ian has engaged in other aggressive acts, such as throwing a sippy cup so hard it broke a window. Additionally, according to family members, Ian would keep an eye on Katie's phone and iPad, and if she tried to contact anyone, bad things would happen to her. Their once optimistic union was falling apart by the end of 2021. Their lives were on the verge of disarray due to the impending divorce. Ian kept saying that the Bible had given him unlimited authority over his wife, which irritated Katie more and more. According to his understanding of the Bible, he was the husband's wife's head, holding the power to make all decisions. Their relationship was severely affected by this dynamic. According to an arrest request, on October 13, 2021, the pair got into a fight after Ian discovered Katie had used her credit card to purchase gas without his permission. According to the arrest request, Ian choked Katie, pulled her by her hair, and threw her to the ground during the incident in their Florida home. As Ian allegedly departed the house in the family's pickup truck, she raced to a bedroom and dialed the sheriff's department. 2 weeks later or less, Ian started the divorce process. In the end, Katie decided not to pursue the strangulation accusations against Ian because he had persuaded her that he had renewed his commitment to Christ. Unfortunately, their hopes for better times to come didn't last long. Katie requested and was given a protective order against Ian in December 2021. On January 2nd, Ian posted a message on Facebook referencing Dante's Ninth Circle. As described in Dante's epic poem The Divine Comedy, the Ninth Circle refers to the deepest level of hell reserved for traitors who betray their donors. Later that same month, there was an altercation in which Ian allegedly kicked Katie in the back and threatened to kill her. Katie told the Hendry County Sheriff's Office about this horrible act, yet Ian managed to escape punishment. Despite the fact that deputies had requested an arrest warrant in their reports, prosecutors decided not to charge him. According to court records, the Bonnich's breakup of marriage was formalized in March 2022 after 8 turbulent years of marriage and the birth of 2 children. On an effort to start afresh, Katie and the kids moved to a house on Fort Myers Beach. However, Katie's concern about possible violence from Ian lingered despite their physical separation. The situation was going to get much worse. A court rejected Katie's request for a restraining order in August, citing the lack of proof. After spending the weekend at Ian's house, Katie picked up the kids on September 11th. She saw that her son's buttocks were partially covered by a sizable purple bruise. He told his mother that it was the outcome of his father beating him out of anger. The judge gave Katie exclusive custody after Katie's lawyer filed an urgent motion in family court. Katie resorted to Sarah Goldsmith, one of Ian's ex-wives, who had contacted Katie months previously after learning of the domestic abuse allegations against Ian. Katie was in a terrible state.
I had found out that there were some charges from Ian against Katie, some strangulation charges back in, I think, January of 2020 or 2021. Anyways, I had found out about that, so I reached out to her on Facebook and just sent her a message. And I was basically trying to be for her what I needed during that time. So I was trying to be uplifting and, trying to help her see that there was a way out of that relationship and that it wasn't her, that it was him.
What was your relationship with Katie like?
From July, her and I spoke to each other quite a bit. I would say probably at least 2 or 3 times a week. And she had shared with me what was going on in their issues with their children and with her trying to get away. I know that there were numerous times where she said again that the law enforcement down there didn't believe her, and that she was afraid that something was going to happen to her or one of her children.
What was he like when you guys were first dating?
He was the perfect man. He was charming. He was great to my kids, or my son at the time. He was just what every woman dreamed of.
When did you first realize something was wrong with how he was treating you?
I would say the first year of our relationship was great. After that was whenever the abuse began. However, it began with the children before it did me. So I kind of started having some red flags at that point. Once we got married, which was whenever things went downhill quick from there.
And in what ways was he controlling or violent before the day, I guess,
I would say in every way. He was controlling in a sense that I had no access to the money. If I needed money, I had to get it from him. He did not want me to work because he wanted someone to take care of the children. So there was no means for me to make my own money. I was not allowed to see family or friends, and if I did, it had to, be approved ahead of time. And it got to the point to where he didn't want me to be around friends and family. He would quote unquote say that they didn't care about me, that he was the only one that truly cared about me.
Both Katie and Sarah claimed to have undergone years of physical abuse and were fortunate to have avoided fatal results, which formed a close bond between them. On September 12, 2022, Sarah received a Facebook message from Katie in which she wrote, "I have made a police report and had them take pictures. I have filed for a restraining order, and it's like no one is taking this seriously but me. I'm sick about it. He's going to kill someone someday."
Hurricane Ian has officially made landfall on Florida's west coast. Experts call this the worst-case scenario for the state of Florida. There are two factors at play: the wind and storm surge, which is already as high as 10 feet in some places. The storm is massive, impacting half of the entire state.
Katie was seeking sanctuary inland when Hurricane Ian made landfall in southwest Florida, and she got a call from Ian the next day. He suggested she bring the kids along as he stated he was leaving the country and requested her to pick up her items from the marital house in Fort Denaud. But Katie's instinct was to leave her kids in the care of a friend. Katie traveled by herself to Ian's after dropping the kids off. The following day, she had stopped returning phone calls or text messages. Around 7:20 a.m. on September 30, 2022, Katie's family notified the neighborhood sheriff's office that she was missing. Deputies found Katie's car sitting in the driveway with her purse still inside when they arrived at Ian's house. They attempted to reach Ian at the time but were unsuccessful, so they went back to the house at 1 p.m. with a search warrant in hand because they believed Katie was being detained against her will.
I got cover. Go ahead, contact.
Why are you cuffing?
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Check everything out, okay? Back up, relax. Hey, move forward behind him.
Ow, fuck!
Relax.
All right, you're gonna roll to your side.
You gotta loosen that up, man.
Okay,
Hey,
let's
go.
secure you
Let's
first.
put two handcuffs on him. We're good. He's got another pair. Move behind. Cover them. Relax. All
Cut out
good.
my circulation.
They're gonna take care of you, so just give us 1
Is
second.
this necessary?
Keep
Get him rolled over after you get another set on him. Sit him up. The right side, the right side.
I understand. I know. I'm doing good.
Screwed up.
We're gonna get you comfortable, sir, and then we're just gonna have a
Stay
conversation.
flat,
Okay?
stay flat. Keep your hands there.
Come on, man. I'm not gonna do
We're
anything.
just gonna sit you on your belt once they get you cuffed, so just relax, okay?
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
Why would you do that?
Dominguez! Yes, sir. Let's get this out of the fucking way.
Roll to your right. Roll to your
What
right.
did I do?
There's a search warrant on there, sir, and they'll talk to you in just a second. Detective's here.
All right. Push off your legs.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Fonzie.
So I was on my way. What y'all do? Rush me my gate?
Give me a second. Let me search you. Anything in your pocket that's gonna poke stick me?
Guys, feel back. Yep. Feel back. We're just gonna get this out of the way and we'll drive right up to the house. Feel back right now. Stand by. All right. Feel back. We're good. All right. Yep. Just
Hey, once we get there.
Deputies detained Ian after spotting suspicious activity at his residence, including a bloody carpeting and a chainsaw that had just been cleaned. To look into a possible murder, they secured a second warrant. Blood was found in Katie's car trunk after luminol testing, and struggle signs were seen inside the home. Katie's wedding and engagement rings, which she wore when she last left her friend's house to meet Ian, were found in the safe. The safe also contained an AR-15 rifle upper receiver and 13 silencers. In addition, the home had 13 bottles of anabolic steroids that were illegally in possession as well as 2 guns. Ian complained about Katie's domestic abuse order, which prevented him from visiting their children, during a police interview. He denied being involved in her disappearance, blaming Katie's bloody trunk on an accident while packing groceries, and rejecting the hallway luminol readings. He once denied that she was genuinely missing and informed detectives that they did not have a body. Despite this, Ian was detained on 13 drugs possession charges and was also charged on a federal level with possessing an unlicensed handgun and a silencer. The grisly finding was uncovered by law enforcement on or around October 1, 2022. They found a piece of a human jaw with one undamaged tooth hidden inside a burn pile. A blue 50-gallon container close to the burn pile contained decaying human body odors. There were further pieces of human bone inside the barrel. Detectives also discovered that Ian looked up ways to dispose of a body online on the day he lost custody of the children. On October 10, Ian Bonich was charged with first-degree premeditated murder, destroying physical evidence, facilitating a crime through the use of a two-way communication device, cremating a body 48 hours after death, and failing to notify the medical examiner of the deceased. Ian appeared in court and pleaded not guilty to killing Katie. Ian Bonich is now being detained without bail at the Hendry County Jail. The Florida abuse accusations Ian had faced weren't the only ones, according to a 3-month investigation into Katie's death by the news organization USA Today. He had a much longer history of abuse than Katie was aware of when she met Sarah. According to USA Today, both of Ian's ex-wives reported him for violence in Indiana years previously, including alleged attempts at strangulation. However, the charges were not taken seriously by the local authorities. After being questioned by Katie's mother about it, Ian had his Indiana charges wiped from the record and was never found guilty of any crimes. On December 2, 2022, Hendry County authorities announced a grand jury indictment against Ian Bonich. During the press conference, the state's attorney refused to address multiple decisions not to prosecute Ian for abuse against Katie.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here with us today. Today, I convened the Hendry County Grand Jury, and I'm here today with our Sheriff of Hendry County, Steve Whitten, and his team and my team to announce a grand jury indictment against Ian Bonich for first-degree murder, abuse of a dead human body, and tampering with evidence. The defendant is accused of murdering his estranged wife, Katie Samantha Bonich, a young mother, between September 29th and September 30th, 2022, at his home in Hendry County. The victim was reported missing, and she never returned from going to the defendant's house to retrieve some of her belongings. Her car was still at the defendant's home when law enforcement arrived. The Hendry County Sheriff's Office, led by Sheriff Steve Whitten, here beside me, and his team, including Lieutenant Rowan, went to the scene immediately to try to find the victim. Their extremely swift actions and quick work in this case helped find evidence and retain evidence before it was destroyed by the defendant, thus leading to this indictment today. Sheriff Whitten will now say a few words about his agency's involvement in this arrest. Thank you, Sheriff Whitten.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. On Friday, September 30th, around 7:30 a.m., just a couple days after the hurricane hit, I received a knock on my door from a neighbor that lived a few doors down who happened to be friends with the victim, Katie. She advised me that earlier that night, around 9 o'clock, that Katie had dropped her kids off with them and asked her to watch them while she went to retrieve some items from her ex-husband's house, Ian Bonich. The neighbor advised me that she had never returned and they could not get a hold of her at that time. That led me to believe that something bad had happened, knowing the history between the Bonichs and their divorce. That was back in February. At that time, I notified our road patrol division to have them go out and knock on the door to see if she was still over there at Ian's house, which they were not able to contact either one of them. That time I realized it made me believe that something bad did definitely happen at that point. So a search warrant was obtained to enter the property of the Bonich residence to look for Katie, which we did to no avail. Once we were there, we did see some items that made us believe that something egregious had happened to Miss Katie. That time we received a secondary search warrant to look for further evidence, which we found a lot of evidence, overwhelming evidence that believed that Katie had died at that time at that residence. This is a very egregious crime. I believe that if the suspect had just a few more hours, he might have finished cleaning up his crime scene and we might still be looking for a missing person at this time.
Thank you so much, Sheriff, and thank you again to your team for such excellent work. Bonich is currently incarcerated in the Hendry County Jail and will now have this charge of first-degree murder and the other 2 charges added. I hope that today's indictment starts to bring some sense of justice to the family and the friends of the victim as they grieve their loss. And of course, our thoughts are with them and also with her children today.
Will you guys take a couple questions?
We can't answer any questions about the facts of the case. We
Sure.
can answer questions about court scheduling and things like that.
So the question I have is, my understanding is that in March of this year, the Hendry County Sheriff's Office referred a report to you guys of Ian threatening to kill Katie and kicking her at their home. What ended up happening with that case?
I'm not going to comment on any prior cases between the two because of this current case and the possibility that some of that might be used in this current case, so I can't comment on the evidence in that prior case.
And so you won't be able to comment on the strangulation case from 2021 earlier either?
I can't comment on any facts of those cases.
Okay, thank you.
Can we get correct spelling of the names, please?
Yes, sure. Ian, I-A-N, and then Bonnick is B-A-U-N-A-U-C-H.
B-A-N-A-U-C-H, I believe, is that correct?
Yes.
B-A-N.
It'll be in the
Did I
press
say it
release
wrong?
following as well.
B-A-N-A-U-C-H,
The Bonnich children are under the care of their maternal grandmother. Ian Bonnich has pleaded not guilty to all charges. His attorney, Robert Harris, said he was disappointed that the state is seeking his client's execution. Mr. Ian Bonnich is a former United States Marine, a war hero who sacrificed his body and his peace of mind for his country. It is disheartening that the government he fought to protect and preserve is going after him with the ultimate punishment. We maintain Lan Bonnich's innocence and will vigorously defend him in a court of law. As of the date of this upload, a trial date has not yet been determined.